Alright guys, I'm back with my review of this week's WWE Monday Night Raw for January 7th, 2013. And this was the big Return of the Rock show, the TLC match with Ryback and Punk. And I liked this show. I thought it had a lot of great stuff, way more good than bad. There were a few things I didn't really care too much for. Kofi versus Big Show was really unnecessary. And the tag match was okay. Sheamus versus Jinder Mahal was just weird. But other than that, I thought it was a pretty good show here. The Divas match was also really weird for some reason. But it starts off with Cena. He comes out. He's talking about dumping crap on Dolph and AJ. And how it's going to be an electrifying show tonight. How he's going to be in the Rumble. Dolph comes out with AJ and Big E. Dolph had this nasty black eye. And it reminded me of when Ryback would come out. His eye would be all messed up every week. But he says the only thing the fans are going to remember tonight is him. AJ says that Cena's a small man. And Cena mocks her. He gets a wave started. Dolph gets pissed and tells him that he's also going to be in the Rumble. And Cena says it's time to fight. He calls Dolph to the ring. And Big E grabs the mic and says, "It's on." So Dolph is upset that Big E basically forced him into this match. I don't know why they did this. Why they even let Big E talk. Unless they just want to go ahead and get Ziggler out of this feud and put Big E against Cena. But Dolph comes to the ring. They have the match. It was pretty good. Big E and AJ keep getting on the apron. So the ref kicks them out. And Dolph hits his elbow drops, where he just hits the elbow drops repeatedly. And he hit like 6, and the fans started counting. And I think this might actually be a problem, because if they start counting, he may have to go up to 10. And that's a lot of freaking elbow drops. But Dolph escapes the AA, and he hits the super kick, but Cena kicks out. Way to build up his new finisher. And the ref takes a bump. Cena gets Dolph in the STF, and Cena's shoe comes off. And Big E runs out, lays out Cena. A new ref comes out, and Cena still kicks out. And he hits the AA on Dolph for the win. And that was it. So like I said, I feel like they're just going to take Dolph out of this and just focus on Big E versus Cena. Sucks for Dolph. And you know there's no way Dolph is going to win the Rumble because he still has his briefcase. So it's Eve versus Caitlyn for the Divas title. And I think Eve untied one of Caitlyn's boots here. And Cole and Lawler didn't notice this. So they just thought it happened on its own, I guess. And at one point, she's attacking Eve, and the ref makes her stop to tie her boot. When Eve attacks her and starts hitting all her moves on her, and the ref never stops this. He just lets this continue while the boot is still untied. So it really made no sense. It was just weird. And Caitlyn goes for the gut buster, but Eve escapes through the crowd. Santino was backstage with Ricky Steamboat, and he's talking about how the Dragon and the Cobra never got to face off, and Wade Barrett shows up. He says Steamboat is just an old man blowing smoke, and Steamboat says he'll be in Santino's corner later. Randy Orton is telling Stryker he plans to win the Rumble when 3MB shows up. And 3MB has entered the Royal Rumble, baby. And one of them will main event WrestleMania. Orton says, "Which one am I facing tonight?" And Slater says, "Pick your poison. No fear at all." I like that. And Orton picks Slater and says he won't be playing an air guitar much longer. He'll be playing the harp. Really bad line. We get Team Hell No versus Rhodes Scholars. Kane started this match, and I don't know if his wig was on crooked or something or what was up with it. But it was like the top part was just hanging in front of his mask. Looked really bad. Daniel Bryan sells a knee injury. Cody beats him across Rhodes. It was okay. Orton versus Heath Slater. I actually enjoyed this. It wasn't a total squash like I thought it was going to be. Orton wins with the RKO. And afterwards, he hits the RKO on McIntyre and Jinder Mahal. Santino with Ricky Steamboat versus Wade Barrett. Barrett wins with the Bull Hammer. Afterwards, Steamboat runs in to check on Santino. Wade Barrett gets ready to Bull Hammer him. And Steamboat turns around, and then Wade just leaves. Sheamus is backstage with Stryker talking about the Rumble when 3MB shows up again. Except this time they're all hurt. This really didn't make any sense. And then he starts talking about how he wants to sing with them or something. We get Cesaro versus the Great Khali. Miz is on commentary. It sounds like Cesaro is going to be feuding with Miz next. And he hits the neutralizer on Khali. Gets the win. I'm glad they did this because they probably realized, hey, this is pretty impressive and not a lot of people watch main event. So it was awesome they did this on Raw where more people will see it. And people were into this. I mean, it looks awesome when he hits it on Khali. And people were cheering. Paul Heyman's on the phone when Brad Maddox comes up to him. This was awesome. Heyman says that he told him to stay away from him. And Maddox says he thought maybe he could help him. He could ask Vicky if he could be the ref for Punk's match later. And Heyman says that he doesn't need his help. And he doesn't know why he exists. Oh, so Sheamus versus Jinder Mahal. Sheamus kicks Jinder Mahal in his arse, and Jinder gets behind him, and Sheamus takes Jinder's hands and puts them on his own ass, and acts like Jinder's grabbing his ass when he's the one doing this shit. It was bizarre. I don't know what this was supposed to be. It wasn't funny. It was just stupid. It made Sheamus look like a weirdo, but he starts clubbing Jinder. McIntyre gets on the apron, he clubs him, he brogue kicks all three of them, and that was pretty much it. I guess they're going to do this thing where Sheamus and Randy Orton are trying to outdo one another. Ryback versus Punk in the TLC match. I like this match a lot. This was definitely a pay-per-view match on free TV here. And Ryback hits a nasty suplex, dropping Punk right on top of a ladder. Punk goes for the old Stone Cold Brian Pillman ankle in the chair spot, but Ryback escapes. He tries to spear Punk and goes through a table. Ryback climbs the ladder. Punk pushes it over. Ryback lands on his feet, picks Punk up, and just throws him onto the side of this ladder. And Ryback throws Punk through a table on the outside. And he starts to climb the ladder. He's almost to the belt when the lights go off. And when they come back on, Ambrose and Rollins are at the top of the ladder, and Ryback still fights them off. But eventually they use a chair, they stop Ryback, they powerbomb him through a table on top of the steel steps, and Punk climbs the ladder, gets his belt, and wins the match. I mean, I think we all saw that coming. Backstage, Punk tells Stryker that he's going to drop another pipe bomb before The Rock comes out. Daniel Bryan and Kane are arguing about who was the weak link and cost them the match. And Vicky comes up and says Dr. Shelby is returning next week to evaluate them. They argue some more. Kane says Shelby's a monster. Daniel Bryan says he's a nerd. It was horrible. I'm over this. Kofi versus Big Show. Kofi attacks Big Show. He gets him in the corner. He's going crazy. The ref tries to hold him back. Big Show punches him in the face. Beats him. That was it. Nothing else happened at all. Big Show didn't even get an entrance. So CM Punk comes out and he says that the only way to get anywhere in WWE is trying to please the universe, which is why Daniel Bryan is stuck doing catchphrases. A monster like Brodus Clay has to dance for the universe, and Little Jimmy gets more time than a workhorse like Tyson Kidd. He says you can't get anywhere until you can sell some shirts, which isn't always true. I mean, look at Zack Ryder. It didn't work for him. And Punk says Bruno and Hogan had it easy and never had to do TLC matches, and 1 year of his reign equals 30 of theirs. He's pissed. They cut to commercial during his promo, and when it comes back, he says that he didn't just beat Del Rio when he won the title, he beat the system, and he calls the fans losers and says they don't get to win. So The Rock comes out. He had a lot of great one-liners here. But he says that Punk is... His reign has been impressive, but the only number that really matters is 20, because in 20 days, it ends. And he says that Punk didn't reject the fans, they rejected him. He gets the fans to chant Cookie Puss, and he calls him Punkeye the Crackhead. Punk says that he doesn't care what Rock's schedule is, if he works all year or works one day a year. He will kick his ass, and his arms are too short to box with God. And The Rock tells him to get some candy bars and The Rock's boot tattooed on his ass so he can always remember The Rock kicking his candy ass. And he rock bottoms him. And that was it. Some great stuff by both guys here. I was really into it the whole time. I thought Punk did a great job standing up to The Rock. The Rock saying all this shit to him, making him look terrible, calling him Cookie Puss and everything. And CM Punk just stands there and takes it. And when it's his turn to talk, he really brought it. So I thought this was great. Overall, a good show here. 3 hours is still a really long time. But it was still much better than the past few Raws have been. Plus, Rock's going to be on SmackDown this week. Next week is the 20th anniversary show, so I enjoy those for all the people they'll bring back, and maybe Stone Cold will show up. So yeah, I'm looking forward to next week's Raw. SmackDown should be good too, and good show this week. So that's my review of this week's episode of Raw. Hope you guys liked the video. Leave your thoughts on this week's show in the comments, and thanks for watching.